other news that Mr. President has appointed APC National Leader Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to lead the Reconciliation Committee of the APC, and it is aimed at reconciling aggrieved party members. Now, as the 2019 election is drawing near, it is paramount that the ruling party needs to put its house in order, and that is why consultation, confidence building, and improving cohesion is important for the success of the party. Now, all these mentioned issues are what we will be dissecting today. I am Eunice Johnson, and my guest is Are Olumuyiwa Oluwilua. He is a governorship aspirant. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Eunice.
Yeah. Just so you know, he's a very interesting person to be with. So prepare for a very, very wonderful ride.
Thank you.
Yeah, so basically we're talking about the reconciliation committee set up by Mr. President. First of all, what are the challenges facing the party currently?
Well, APC, which we all know, is like a marriage between different parties. Now, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he came up with that idea, of bringing key stakeholders in major parties together to form a mega party that would push PDP out of government. And I think we had PDP, some members of PDP there, ACN, CPC, which was President Buhari's former party, and I think members of ANPP. So they came together to form what we have today as the APC. And definitely, even between husband and wife, you have issues.
Yeah.
Because different backgrounds, different ideologies, and what have you, coming together to form one party, there will be some issues. So that is one of the problems we're having in APC. I won't call it teething problems anymore because we've been together for a while now. But it's one of those things that we have to contend with. And as you have rightly said, there's some issues here and there within members of the party.
Okay, so it's more or less a fusion of different parties, different people from different backgrounds, party-wise, coming together under one umbrella, which was now named APC.
Exactly.
Okay, so do you actually, before we start talking about the field or whatever the grief may be, do you agree that there are aggrieved members in the party?
Yes. I mean, without gainsaying, it's quite true that there are aggrieved members.
Okay, so what are the causes of this grief? Why are they aggrieved? What's really the cause of them?
Well, let me start from the genesis, if you will allow me.
Sure.
Now, at the inception of this government, the party had their own candidates for the leadership of the National Assembly.
Oh, okay.
Senate, House of Representatives. They had penciled down some names that these are the people that will head the National Assembly. But I'm sure you're aware of the coup de grace, let me call it, of Senator Bukola Saraki. Before people knew what was happening, Senator Bukola Saraki became the Senate President. He was voted in as Senate President. And Senator Ike Ekweremadu as the Deputy Senate President. Yeah. And Ekweremadu is from PDP. So it was unprecedented. If PDP is in power, the Senate President will be PDP, the Deputy Senate President will be PDP, which would have been the same case with APC. But because the party wanted a different person, Senator Saraki, being the sharp man he is, wangled his way. And people are saying that because he was a former member of PDP, he got the support of PDP members to vote him in as Senate President. That is why we had Ekweremadu as the Deputy Senate President. And right there and then, the crisis started.
Because, of course, divergent views from...
That's it. Different factions started building up, and there were fault lines, within the party already. So that is the genesis of the problem. And with time, people take sides. Some people were for the mainstream party hierarchy. Some were with Senator Bukola Saraki. Like that. So gradually...
And sometimes these things, they say few drops of water makes an ocean. So sometimes it just takes a little and then it escalates into something really big. You can't even, you look back and you say, was this what really started this whole thing in the first place?
You understand?
Would you say that setting up this committee is the way to go, to be able to bring peace back to as it should be, or there should have been an alternative way out somehow?
Well, I do not think there could have been an alternative. There has to be a peace and reconciliation, committee to handle, what we have here. But the problem I have with it is that the devil is in the details. How so? Now we have Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He match-made the parties that formed APC. He officiated at the wedding of the people that
so you're
formed
likening
APC.
it to a wedding.
You understand? And he midwifed the baby from the
okay.
union, which is the presidency, the government we have today. So he is in the best position. That's why they call him the national leader. He is in the position, to settle the rift between the different parties.
To sail the boat in this case,
exactly.
right?
But on the other hand, we now have the NWC.
Okay.
That's National Working Committee, which is like the leadership of the party. They also would see themselves as those who should actually
relevant in some sort of way.
Reconcile the warring factions. So definitely there will be a coalition, which I'm sure you must have noticed. Senator Asiwaju Bola Tinubu had to write a letter that the leadership of the party under the chairmanship of Chigwegu was frustrating his efforts at reconciliation. Now, ordinarily, you would expect something like that to happen. Because the chairman of the party will believe that if there should be a reconciliation, it should come from the hierarchy of the party. So, I think that's why they are
clash
somehow.
But do you think this is the reason for the elongation of tenure of the National Working Committee, and how is it going to affect the peace efforts? Because, of course, the convention is supposed to be to have commenced, but then the committee has elongated its tenure. So, how is this going to affect the peace efforts? Because you just mentioned the thing or two about.
Well, I really am at a loss right now. Why am I saying this? Because the elongation or the extension of the tenure of the NWC, that's the National Working Committee, by the NEC, by another 12 months after expiration, those who are not in support are saying that only the National Convention has the power to elongate that tenure. And I think they are saying, okay, Article 30 supports that. But the NEC is now saying Article 13 gives the NEC the power to do what the National Convention can do. So now we're trying to reconcile the trouble in the different states, but we're now having trouble at the center.
Like you just took the words off my mouth. Like, in a bid to reconcile something that is happening, another clash is coming up from the process of trying to
reconcile
the reconciliation.
Exactly.
Now, the APC is the ruling party. And so somehow, if not directly, maybe in some sort of indirect way, the crisis might rub off on the citizenry. Now, what does this whole crisis within the party portend for the country, peace-wise, or maybe in every other aspect?
Well, it will affect citizens of the country in several ways. Peace-wise, like you said. Because if you noticed in Kaduna, we have splitter factions of the party. Then one faction took residence in the senator's house, and Governor El-Rufai moved a bulldozer there to level the house. So,
This whole thing.
You understand? So there are issues with the peace there. Now, peace aside, now economically, now we have a National Assembly that's at loggerheads with the Federal Executive Council as executive. This is not my words. This is words verbatim of the President himself, President Buhari. Now, when you have that kind of issue, the synergy won't be there. Before the National Assembly will pass the budget, it's going to take a longer period than when, everybody is happy, we're working in tandem with one another and all that. So when the budget is not passed, what happens? There's no money released.
So it stalls a lot of things automatically.
So, nothing good can come out of, this warring, between, or amongst the APC leadership.
So it's more or less politics within politics, or whichever way you might want to put it. But what do you think actually could be done to, first of all, settle? Because they say, I don't know how to put it, but you take care of your charity begins at home. So if you want to, even though it's within the party, you have to take it one step at a time. What steps do you think could be taken to, first of all, put things at ease, to be able to ease the reconciliation process?
What I feel is that, the major stakeholders should form part of this reconciliation committee. I don't have an exhaustive list of who the members are, but we all know that the reconciliation committee is being headed by the national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. But, because most of the issues we're having is between senators and governors in the state, or maybe one senator versus another senator, at least the big wigs. Now it should involve some of the governors, because we all know that when a person becomes a governor, he becomes like the leader of the party in the state. So he has a lot of, spunk, so to speak, a lot of authority. So if they involve them in the peace process, I believe all parties can come together, sit down, and iron whatever issues we have out. Then the president himself, because President Buhari is a highly respected member of the party and is a highly respected Nigerian as well, he should be more hands-on, he should be more involved. Because what I can see is that he commissioned Asiwaju Tinubu to start the reconciliation. Asiwaju Tinubu went to the national headquarters to meet with the chairman of the party and the NWC to intimate them of his assignment and all of that. But I have a feeling that maybe the National Working Committee believes that he is usurping the authority. That's why there's some friction. And I believe the president should be more involved with this, and these governors as well, for us to have,
for things to work out.
Exactly, things to work out smoothly.
Okay, we will continue with the discussion, but before that, let's just take a quick break, and when we return, you join us again.
Television Nigerian is here to avail you with that information you need for all-round development through its mind-blowing programs such as news, talk shows, health and safety, governance and politics, sports, entertainment, kiddies, documentaries, finance, global happenings, human disposition from childhood to adulthood. It's a manifestation of what you see, what you hear and say. Tune in and stay tuned to TVN, Television Nigeria, broadcast beyond boundaries.
In case you're just joining us, the program is still Issues of the Moment, and I've been speaking with Olumuyiwa Olumilua. He is a governorship aspirant of Ekiti State under the ruling party APC, and we've been talking about the reconciliation committee set up by Mr. President to tackle issues amongst aggrieved members within the party. You mentioned something before we went on the break with regards to the involvement of Mr. President.
Yes.
Do you think that the party is satisfied with the performance of the president holistically? We will come to, first of all, maybe we should start with what you said. Being the national leader of the party, I'm referring to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Don't you think he's still in the right? Does the president have to be in every affair? Is it not only right for him to just say, okay, you take care of this? Or do you think it is actually right for the president to step into the matter?
Well, I believe the buck passing stops at the table of the president. The national leader, Asiwaju, is senator as well, anyway, but Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has the capacity, let me put it that way, to actually reconcile the warring factions, but all the same, the ultimate person in the party still is the president. He's the father of all. He can say, okay, okay, whatever is disturbing you, lay to rest, let's, be one happy family again. And, people would listen to him. Not that they don't respect Asiwaju Tinubu, but, ultimately, Daddy is the one who has all the respect in the house. And the President Buhari, is our daddy right now.
Yeah, so even if the big brother says something, people still want to hear from Daddy.
Hear from Daddy. That perfect analogy. So I believe Daddy should be more hands-on, more involved in this. And I believe the more he gets involved in this, the quicker we'll be able to settle all the rates.
You probably have answered the second phase of the question, which is if the party itself is satisfied with the president. But then talking about generally now, holistically, how the president has performed so far, do you think the party is happy with him?
To a large extent, yes.
Okay.
To a very large extent. If you want to be fair to Mr. President, he has performed well. Not just to the party, but to the general populace of Nigerians. We know that Nigeria was on the brink of collapse when President Buhari took over. Considering the situation then, if it had been a weaker person, Nigeria might be like Venezuela today. Venezuela is the country with the largest deposits of oil in the world, but right now it's a failed nation. They can barely even feed themselves. That might have happened because with the brazen way people were stealing and looting and robbing the country blind, then what happened? The oil prices dropped to an all-time low of like $29 or thereabouts. How we managed to get to where we are today is still a miracle. I'm being honest. And party members who want to be fair to Mr. President will know that he has done a lot.
It's commendable.
It is commendable.
That's if they want to.
If they want to be fair to him. Now, the major grounds party members had with him was that we took over 2.5 years, almost 3 years into government. We still had PDP members on boards of parastatals and agencies and all that. And they saw it as being absurd. It was an aberration. They expected him to kick them out the minute he was sworn in. But for reasons best known to him, he kept them on board. But as of last month, yes, it started rolling out appointments. And I think that has, eased tension amongst the party members that, okay, and now he's talking to us, it's all about patronage. Because if you worked hard, to elect a president, then you will believe that, okay, definitely there'll be some rewards for that.
Exactly.
So, and, party members were a bit upset that, nothing happened for quite a long while. But right now, most party members are smiling, and I believe that more are still going to smile as time goes by.
Exactly. But what are your views on Mr. President's fight against corruption? Because in as much as there's so many issues the country is faced with, so many challenges, it is obvious that he is really paying attention to corruption.
Yes.
To a large extent. So what are your views on his fight against corruption?
Well, I believe this has been the most brazen fight against corruption ever. I don't know what the figures are, but trillions of naira have been retrieved. Billions of dollars have been retrieved. Now, in terms of property, assets, and what have you, collectively, I'm sure, if we're going to put it in naira terms, we would have collected or retrieved over 6 trillion naira worth of cash and assets. No other government has done that, has dared to. But the only issue I have, and this is just my personal opinion, is that if somebody steals and you take the money of that person, let the people know who that person is.
Oh. You shouldn't conceal the identity.
You shouldn't conceal the identity. Let there be some jail time. You know, when that happens, people will be more afraid to steal like that. If it's a matter of, okay, I steal your marriage, I have to give you a date. And you don't tell anybody, I'll wait for another, you know, opportunity to snatch the bag again.
I know I'm covered.
I know I'm covered. But when they're made public and they serve some jail time, I believe it will nip all the...
It will put them in check.
In check, exactly, so to speak. It will further curb, you know, the tendency to steal.
To the barest minimum.
To the barest minimum, exactly.
Okay, some APC states are said to be having crisis. States like Kaduna, Kogi State, etc., and all that. Now, in your opinion, what is the committee expected to do to be able to address this crisis in the states?
Well, you know, before you can address the crisis, you have to get to the root cause
of the crisis. What exactly is causing you guys to be at loggerheads?
You know, and being one family, you should be able to come out and say, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. Then the reconciliation committee should now step in and say, okay, fine.
These are ways to prefer solutions.
These are the solutions to these problems. You know, in fairness to everybody involved, this is what you should do. And at the end of the day, I believe, we're all reasonable adults. We should be able to come to a compromise and say, okay, fine. We're going to align with what the committee has recommended, and, you know, put page to all the brick at, you know, throwing and all that. So I believe it's something that I think once you get to the root cause and it's addressed, then it's a simple matter.
Okay, with the way it is now, earlier we had talked about the fact that some things are actually causing the feud and the crisis within the committee itself. What do you think is the way out of it? How do you think they can, first of all, save the tension inside before expanding?
Well, you're talking as regards the committee.
The committee, the reconciliation committee, with so much the aggrieved parties within the party. What do you think could be done to address those little issues that could now, you know, make things easier for the bigger ones to be addressed?
See, like I said, Mr. President has to be involved. Now, we have two established bodies right now. We have the NWC, which by the constitution of the party sees to the day-to-day affairs, workings, and running of the party. Naturally, if there are conflicts within the party, they should be the ones to sort out those rifts. But now, the President, in his wisdom, which I support as well, has brought in the national leader, that's Asiwaju Tinubu, to further potentiate, you know, the reconciliation process. So what has to be done is that they have to be married. The NWC and the Reconciliation Committee, they have to be properly married, synergized, to give a more potent reconciliation committee. And like I said, some governors have to be involved, and some other big wigs have to be involved,
in the process,
integrated into the process, to give us a reconciliation committee that will be acceptable to all.
That's a big one there, yes. There has to be, it's more or less like a solemnization. So both of them coming together as one, just like the analogy 1 + 1 = 1. The moment you start seeing yourselves as one, then you could actually work as one. Precisely. I've been speaking with Are Olumuyiwa Olumilua. He's a governorship aspirant of Ekiti State under the APC. And we've been talking about the crisis within the party and the Reconciliation Committee headed by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Thank you very much for being part of Issues of the Moment. We do hope you enjoyed every bit of the discussion, and thanks once again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It was interesting speaking with you.
Yes,
yeah. For now, we say goodbye. Join us again same time next week.